The Harvest.
Greetings, Africa FM listeners. This is Widad Allaoua with your Pan-African news appointment. Algeria launches operation of Garage Bila Tindouf Bashar mining railway under the leadership of Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune, one of the largest strategic projects in the history of independent Algeria. The President's Tebboune speech during the inauguration of the mega strategic project, President Tebboune has the enduring message of the martyrs constitutes a legacy capable of ensuring victory in the battle of development, I say. Let's listen to President Tebboune.
يوم لحظة انتصار تاريخي على طريق تحدي تنموي الذي خضناه بثقة وقناعة هنا في عمق صحرائنا الغالية والخالدة. إنها لحظة نقف فيها على خطوة من خطوات التجسيد العملي لإنجاز وطني استراتيجي تاريخي كان دائما يذكر ويذكر كأنه حلم بعيد المنال دونه عقبات مهولة وعديدة.
He stresses that the realization of the Garage Bila Tindouf Bashar mining railway represents a milestone in a historic and national achievement. President Tebboune.
إنجاز ثانوية في بعض الأحيان يتطلب 3 سنوات في ظرف 20 شهر أنجز هذا الخط العملاق بإرادة جزائرية وتمويل جزائري وبإطارات جزائرية مع أصدقائنا الصينيين. رؤية استراتيجية تكاملية لتثمين واستثمار مواردنا الطبيعية وثرواتنا الوطنية والربط بين جنوبنا الكبير وباقي الوطن. وحضورنا اليوم لتدشين خط السكة الحديدية المنجمي الغربي كمرحلة أولى، وأؤكد أنها مرحلة أولى من مراحل مشروع وطني مهيكل سيغير إن شاء الله على المدى القريب وجه المنطقة هنا في هذه الامتداد العزيز من جنوبنا الكبير.
Furthermore, President Tebboune praises the extraordinary achievement of those who constructed the railway, stressing that its figures are exceptional. President Tebboune once more.
وإنني سأكون جاحفا في حق من أنجزوا هذه السكة، فكل أرقامها أرقام يعني باستطاعتها أن تكون في موسوعة جينيس. السكة الحديدية بنيت على جسور طولها 22 كيلومتر، منها جسر واحد منفصل 4 كيلومتر، وانجز في أقل من سنة. مثل هذه الجسور من العادة تأخذ سنوات، وأنا بالجسور وتركيب السكة وتجارب كلها لم تدوم إلا 20 شهر، فهي معجزة الرجال الذين آمنوا بوطنهم وضحوا من أجل وطنهم، ونحن لهم شاكرون، وكل الجزائريات والجزائريين فخورين بهم.
Keeping up with Algeria, Tosiali planned to receive first shipment of Garage Bilat iron ore with the attendance of Prime Minister Sif Gharib. The Tosiali iron and steel complex in Oran is preparing to receive the first shipment of iron ore extracted from the Garage Bilat mine, a significant step reflecting progress in integrating this strategic resource into the national industrial value chain. President Tebboune receives congratulations from Chinese President on the launch of Allsat-3 satellite. He stated in this message that Algeria is regarded as a key strategic partner of China, with two countries bound by a deep-rooted historical friendship. The Algerian president of the National Economic, Social and Environmental Council, Professor Mohamed Boukhari, receives his counterpart, Dr. Ahmed Bodo Mohamed, president of the Economic, Social and Cultural Environmental Council of the Republic of Chad, along with the accompanying delegation in Algiers. This work visit falls within the framework of strengthening cooperation between the two councils and will run from 31st January to 3rd of February 2026. The work of the Algerian-Libyan experts meeting held on 28 to 29 January 2026 concludes with a set of recommendations aiming at strengthening bilateral cooperation and expanding partnership prospects in several fields. The meeting took place as part of preparations from the 50th session of the Algerian-Libyan High Joint Executive Committee for Cooperation. Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi expresses his readiness to launch a national dialogue while setting out strict conditions. He stipulates that the dialogue must be held on Congolese soil under the supervision of Republican institutions and must exclude all those involved in crimes against the population. Congolese political analyst Christian Moleka speaks to Ifriqiya FM on this.
This
approach seems to move away, at least partly, from the initiative proposed by Catholic and Protestant bishops, and it also reduces the level of inclusion. Holding a dialogue in Kinshasa at a time when many opposition figures are aboard, some of them in what is effectively political exile, and in a context where part of the opposition is calling for an inclusive dialogue involving all sides, suggests that the format proposed by the president may not be able to guarantee real inclusiveness. It may also fail to ensure the political calm the country needs by bringing all actors together inside the country. For now, however, the president seems to be giving priority to the Washington process and external and international process rather than an internal one. This is even more the case since the military pressure that had pushed him to take this position has eased, and the agreements have more or less stabilized the front lines.
The latest joint statement issued by the European Union and Morocco following the 50th session of the Association Council confirms that there has been no change in the AU's position on the Western Sahara issue. In contrary to interpretations promoted by Morocco, the EU reiterating its commitment to resolve the conflict within the framework of international legality and the UN-led process, while respecting the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination. In this context, Sahrawi diplomat Mohammed Sheikh describes the claims being circulated as nothing more than a new disinformation campaign by Moroccan establishment. Let's listen to Mohammed in microphone of Fouzi Merada.
The Makhzen has long been known for deceit, lies, propaganda, and all kinds of disinformation. This is once again the case when it claims that the European position supports its autonomy plan. What actually happened is that the High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs clearly stated in an official letter sent to Morocco and reaffirmed it during the Association Council between the European Union and Morocco that the European Union aligns itself with the process led by United Nations. This means alignment with United Nations Security Council Resolution 2797 without announcing any official support by the European Union for the autonomy plan. More than that, the High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs reaffirmed the European Union's position in favor of lasting and mutually acceptable solution. This therefore has nothing to do with any endorsement of the autonomy plan. The European Union remains committed to the United Nations framework, and outside the United Nations, there can be no fair solution to the Western Sahara conflict.
Khartoum International Airport receives its first commercial flight in nearly 3 years, in a move officials describe as a practical step toward reopening the airport and resuming air traffic in the Sudanese capital after a prolonged shutdown due to the ongoing conflict in the country. Joining me in the studio, Yasmin Ben Ashur, to provide us with more insights about this. Welcome, Yasmin.
Hello, Widad.
Yasmin, these are positive news for a country like Sudan that was torn up with the war for 3 years. What do you have to report about the reopening of the Sudanese International Airport?
You know, Widad, after Sudanese Prime Minister Kamal Idris talks about bringing life to Khartoum, the first commercial plane lands today at Khartoum International Airport. This shows what Minister Kamal Idris promised, and it's an important step for the city's recovery after more than 2 years under siege. Abdelhadi Mohammed Hamdan, a Sudanese political analyst, explains. Let's hear him.
Today, Sudan Airways is returning to the capital, Khartoum, after 3 years of the brutal war that devastated the Sudanese people. This return means a breath of life for us. It means the return of displaced people, the return of the homeless. It means the return of the economy and travel to and from other countries. Civil aviation to our capital now resumes. We are very happy, truly happy about the return of our airline. Our airport, Khartoum Airport, was officially inaugurated by the Prime Minister yesterday in the capital. This joy is indescribable.
At the same time, the Sudanese army continues to take back areas controlled by the Rapid Support Forces. The army announces it's moving to free the town of Dailin in South Kordofan. Sudan now stands at a critical crossroads where cautions hope for recovery moves in line with ongoing battles for restored state authority and stability across the country.
Thank you, Yasmin, for your information. Algeria's Ministry of Culture and Arts announces the opening of applications for financial grants in support of cinematic project holders as part of the state's backing of film projects for 2026. Concluding with sports, the South African Deputy Minister of Sports and Culture, Peace Mabe, says that South Africa will host the Women's Africa Cup of Nations after Morocco left the organization less than 2 months before the tournament starts. Meanwhile, looking ahead to upcoming Africa Cup of Nations tournaments, Egypt officially announces its bid to host the 2032 or 2036 edition. Ethiopia, for its part, submits a bid to host the 2028 AFCON, marking the return after more than 50 years since it last staged the competition. This was the harvest of the day. Thank you for your attention. It was directed by Yasmin Bekay, controlling board with Mustafa, streaming service with Islam, and observation with Taus. Thank you for your attention, and join us tomorrow at the same time, 3 p.m. only at Ifriqiya FM.